Welcome to part 1 of the season 1 finale, where we battle it out to identify the true champion of season 1 of the Best Butties. 16 gyms were conquered, with 16 victors crowned across a variety of category types from cups to crazes, but only one may reign the true Best Butties champion. In this all-out brawl, we have randomly assigned a round of 16 bracket, with the victors duking it out for the top spot. They won't have it easy though, as they go up against 4 of England's best trainers to truly test their mettle. Providing the ice-cold, likely wrong facts is me, Rob Lorelei Hayden. Next in the lineup, you barely see him because he never arrives on time, it's Jack Agatha O'Sullivan.
Yeah, okay, but your middle name is already like a gym leader. Like your real middle name is already
Sort of.
Douglas Wynn is already like some
Sort
shit
of.
you would get.
But it's not a real
Name. No, I agree. It's weird.
But it's all good because he's got a big strongman energy and will shut down any attempt at reason with a kick to the head. It's Brandon Bruno Morgan.
I love Digimon.
Oh, that brings back bad memories. And your final opponent with his bad dragon energy, or maybe that's just his toy collection. It's Ryan Lance Marrick.
Hello, I have a huge collection of sex toys.
How are you guys? You okay?
Yeah, good, thank you. Very good after that.
very
Wonderful introduction. Well done, Robert.
There you go. There you go.
Did you want me to lie and say
Keen
yes?
instructions.
I can say yes.
Yeah. Well, Agatha's a great one to go for.
Oh no,
I was
that's
trying to
fine.
do it in
I'm
the
saying you
order-
asked if I was alright.
I was trying to do it in the order of, you know, who you actually fight against in the Elite
Yeah.
Four, but realised that you couldn't be locked. You had to be Agatha, Jack. I couldn't think it works perfectly with your arrival times. So I was like,
fine.
it's just going to have to shop around.
Fine.
So, and I hope I said Lorelei right because I think that's how you say it. Like,
I
is
think
that
so.
right? That
I
is
think
right.
I've said that out
Yeah.
loud maybe once my entire life, so I don't trust anything that I say because I once thought that banal was pronounced banal, so I'd never trust a word that comes out of my mouth.
Banal.
Yes.
Oh dear, that's not how you say it. Oh, okay. Got something wrong there then. That's great. How are you boys? You okay?
Fine, thank you very much. I'm excited for this season finale of Best Buddies Season 1.
Yeah, because 90% of the fucking entries are yours.
Yeah,
Exactly, that's exactly why I'm excited, Jack, because I might
The-
win.
the odds are quite strongly in your favour.
Stuffed the ballot box.
Yeah, you've done it. It's going to be interesting. I mean, not to try and dissuade anyone from the off before we've started, but I have very little faith in my entries, to be honest with you. I think there's some absolute corkers in this bracket, and none of them are mine. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
What's more amazing is that we're actually done 16 episodes. This is now 17 episodes of this podcast.
Yeah.
Like, how bonkers that this is actually season 1 we're wrapping up now. I
Yeah.
can't believe something that we thought we'd just start
This was a
doing
joke.
as like an off thing. Yeah, and here we are. So now our lives. That's all we do.
Yeah.
Posting on Instagram, telling people about shit. It's great.
I don't think I've ever shown this level of commitment in anything else I do, so well done, lads.
Like D&D.
Hey, look, that was one time I played Rocket League whilst we were playing D&D. One time, okay? And I've still not lived it down 5 years later.
I wasn't DMing, so I'm fine either way.
Incredible.
Never forgetty. Right, okay, so we're not going to start with Peachy, I don't think, are we? We're going to do that sort of bit later.
We'll spice it up.
So, plans today are we have done 16 episodes of Best Butties. We have 16 champions, I suppose you could say, 16 Best Butties. And now we're going to find out who the best Butty is overall in season 1. So we've got a round of 16 bracket, which I believe Ryan, our dearest, has put together, and we do not know, the rest of us, who is going against who. And yeah, I get the plan will be to go through one half of the bracket, so it will be actually a round of 8, which will then go to a quarter-final, a semi-final, and then we'll have a final best Butty, which will go against another one, which we'll decide in a second episode. This is a 2-parter, so
There's a lot to get through, so we're going to try and get this one wrapped up a little bit quicker than usual. I do worry that we won't, and this will be a 16-hour episode.
we're too passionate. That's why.
Yeah.
We're just passionate about what we've chosen. So yeah, if that sounds good for you boys, do you all feel ready? Think your picks are going to be strong?
I'm ready.
Strong pick. Well,
Throw hands. I'm ready.
So it's just going to be It will be Ryan. If it's split up, it's probably going to be Ryan's pick versus one of us every single time. That's all it's going to be.
I feel like I might have to talk more than I usually do. One of the listeners, hello Aaron, told me that she can often not hear me for about 45 minutes between me speaking. So, finally I might contribute something to this podcast, boys. I'm excited. Let's go.
You have to be brazen and just talk over people, and then eventually the other people will shut up, and whoever's the least dominant will be quiet. So
what awful advice for an audio-only podcast.
Terrible.
That's the way it works. And then whoever's editing just silences everyone else, and it's just the one person.
Right. I've got the brackets.
Let's go, baby.
You guys haven't heard these brackets before, so it's all going to be a hilarious surprise. So
I don't even remember half the winners, to be honest with you, so this is going to be real wild.
For our first round of this season 1 finale, we have Elden Ring versus the Working Class.
Oh, that's me. Oh, shit.
That is you.
Now, may I take the floor? Can I kick this one off?
Kick it off.
So, here's the thing, right? If we can rewind time and go back to when I won with Working Class, one of my opponents earlier on was a class, I believe, from Elden Ring or From Software, and I fucking beat it then, so why wouldn't I beat it now?
He's got a good point. That I remember that. That was the.
You can't bring a half-remembered argument into this. But
I remembered all of it.
Everything's going to be.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I won. Sorted.
I think I would counter that with, I really don't want to argue against the working class, so I've just kind of stopped myself and gone, shit, Brandon's probably got this.
Elden Ring's
going to
great.
be faster than I thought then.
Yeah,
Come
good.
on, we can knock them out in one episode at this rate.
No, Elden Ring's brilliant. I fucking played the shit out of that game when it came out. There'll be DLC coming out at some point. Can't wait. It's brilliant. But Working Class,
You've played
baby.
more with the Working Class? Is that what you're saying?
I've definitely spent more time in and around the Working Class than I have Elden Ring.
Me much so, because I've not played Elden Ring.
Or spent any time with the working class. Robert's
Yeah,
like, I don't do that.
You've got to get the rumour going that Rob's a Tory, so all the listeners,
it's
Rob's a
not
Tory,
a
pass it on.
It is true.
No.
But yeah, we've
please.
got some criteria, so maybe we should rustle through those before I concede to the work. I don't want to concede.
He doesn't want to concede. He also doesn't want to fight against the working class.
Yeah.
I'm going to fence it. I'm going to be a Lib Dem on this one.
Well, surely you can't vote in the same way that I can't vote. It's just down to the judges.
It's down
So
to
if
you
they,
two.
I
Still got to try and convince us.
How can I convince you then? I think there's a very few games that come around that make you feel so much joy, wonderment, adventure. We got those in 2017 with Breath of the Wild, but I think we got that again in 2022. God, that feels like ages ago. We got it last year, essentially, and it was amazing. It inspired millions, literally millions, tens of millions of people around the world to get into fantasy, to get into gaming, just general have a good vibe whilst playing Elden Ring. Yes, that is my argument. I don't want to bash the working class any more than they have been by life generally. So
I might have a hot take. I don't know how hot it is.
God.
No, it's just, maybe you'll agree, if we're looking at From Software, which Elden Ring's part of, I think Sekiro was a better game.
Get in the bin. Brandon's in the bin. Time out bin for Brandon.
No, didn't. I really fucking enjoyed Sekiro.
I loved the combat, but it's a very singular experience. I think Elden Ring branches out to places that feel kind of familiar, but also in a completely different play space, and the addition of like jumping and really cool magics and exploration, it's all cool. Sekiro, it does one thing and it does one thing incredibly well. So yeah, they're kind of two sides of the same From Software.
I think they're very different. I think that's why I liked it, because Sekiro stands out a bit more. It's a bit more different. I suppose in a similar way that when Bloodborne came out and it was suddenly a very different play style, it was a lot faster paced, you had to be more aggressive. Sekiro is a similar kind of thing, but it's a lot more running about, hiding, doing ninja shit. Whereas Elden Ring, while fabulous, it still felt very Dark Soulsy, I guess. It was the Dark Souls of Elden Ring.
If you want to do the hot take, I think Bloodborne is better than Sekiro, and Bloodborne is better than Elden Ring, and then the only thing that tops that is Dark Souls 1. But we're not here to talk about FromSoft.
No.
Okay, here's my thing. So, would you say that those that work in power generation are from the working class?
Well, that's a sweeping generalisation.
No, I don't know. Like,
power?
Would you say
Because,
that some members of the working, like electricity, because surely without that,
Rob, that
you ain't
doesn't
powering
narrow
your
it
game,
down.
mate.
I'm asking what sort.
Oh, I guess like it's not coal, is it? Gas?
We don't
Is it gas?
Yeah, well, natural gas
Do we
we
burn
use a
coal
lot
still?
of, but also a lot of the stuff requires people of different backgrounds at different. It's not just one guy. Like,
of course, but a part of generation of electricity, the working class could be working in that job sector. And without the electricity, you wouldn't be able to power your game.
That's very true.
I don't know if we should just use the criteria as a basis for all of these anyway, and then we could just have an argument about it for most of these. I mean, you decide what you want to do, but I'm thinking the criteria is scientific, right? We have a scientific reasoning to see what goes through. Do you not agree? Or
I
do you just
disagree.
want to...
This whole podcast is us chatting shit. There's no science to be fucking seeing.
Then I vote for working class.
I do think. Sorry, just to run it. I do think the questions, while brilliant, save it for if there is a disagreement between the judges, because there will definitely be occasions where it's split. Okay. But I think if you're in agreement, let's just move on, because there's a lot. There's so much.
Well, I'm voting for working class because saying I've been involved more with the working class, probably the wrong thing to say, but
you've been involved more in taking advantage of the working class, for sure. I mean, you work for the company you work for is definitely involved in taking advantage of the working class.
Well, I've not been involved in Elden Ring except from watching it, so I'm not doubting that it wouldn't be cool to play, but I'd like to play it.
This is like listening to a racist go, I'm not racist because I've got black friends.
I'm not racist, but...
Alright, Ryan, come on. You're trying to vote a video game as being better than a whole group of people.
I don't want to make it, but I have been forced by this podcast to make that argument.
No, it's fair.
I think we're gonna have to go working class because Ryan's not even arguing this one really. His heart's not in it.
I love Elden Ring, but come on, boys, the workers have to rise up. We have to destroy capitalism. So yeah, sure, it's going in the book. The first
slapping first fucking grunt birthday party sound of the episode. Let's go.
Oh shit, there's gonna be loads.
Gonna run out of party poppers.
The first of the best buddies topics into the quarterfinals of season 1. It's the working class.
Let's go, baby. I'm doing it for you, the people.
So we're gonna move on to our second bracket of today. Of our round of 16, and that's going to be Ramadan versus the original soundtrack to Star Wars, the original trilogy. Discuss.
We've already had this. The Ramadan was the last episode, and we were duking out in that episode as well. Oh my god! Wow, this is actually harder than I thought it would be. Think of how many people have watched Star Wars.
I don't know that you're going to win with that line, Robert. Think about the number of people involved on both sides of that.
Okay.
There's a lot of overlap as well.
Let me try again. If you were to take a cross section of people across, let's say several, let's say a country from each of the different continents. Should we say that? Several people from each of the 7 continents, right? And you ask them, you know what Ramadan is? And then you say, do you know what Star Wars is? I bet you more of them will say, hell yeah, Star Wars.
I think it's the other way. I think it's pretty much exclusively the other way.
I don't like your populational transect analysis methodology there, Robert. I don't think it stands up very well if you just take a few people from each continent. I don't think that's very fair, is it?
It's objectively wrong. Like it would definitely go the other way.
You're basing that entire argument on if you took that population analysis from the Western world. I guarantee.
And
maybe
specifically,
yeah,
for areas you grew up, maybe.
No. I bet you more people know what Star Wars is, around the world, not just westernized people, than you think. If you went to Japan and said, "Do you know what Star Wars is?" They're going to know what Star Wars is, aren't they?
I think
China or
to a degree, I see what you're saying. I think I agree in that I think a larger population will have more of an understanding and knowledge of Star Wars compared to the ins and outs of Ramadan, if you will. I think a lot of people would have heard the term Ramadan but not really know much about it. I, to be honest, don't know a fat lot. I certainly know more about Star Wars and more aware of that than Ramadan. So I think that aspect.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, it's.
But then
also think of the amount of Muslims that partake in watching Star Wars, but I bet you all the people that watch Star Wars don't partake in Ramadan.
Yeah, but pure numbers does not make something the best. Like we established last week that Ramadan won because it raises awareness for Islam and the Muslim community as well as charities around the world. So we've got a cultural impact of media, which is important, but then we've also got cultural plus charitable in the terms of Ramadan. So, if that's how you want to throw hands, Mr. Hayden, I'll throw hands. I'll throw some cultural and charitable hands.
Does Star Wars raise money for charity?
Depends how you classify it.
It raises money for Disney.
Yeah, so that's
the opposite.
That's a charity of our hearts, right?
No.
Happiness.
Oh, God, no.
Oh,
God.
Get out.
Oh, no. Look, I don't know how else you want me to argue this. Like, these concepts, these things are entirely different.
Give it to the people. What do the people think? The people being Brandon and
Well, here's the one thing I did just think, that all the people that probably take part in both, they'd probably rather have a Star Wars movie marathon than actually, fast during the day. It's an admirable thing, don't get me wrong, and there's a lot of benefits from it, but I think during the heat of the moment, if they were given the option, they'd probably, watch Empire Strikes Back instead.
Good choice.
True, is the act of Ramadan and fasting, because what you said the last episode, that people don't really like to do it as such. It's obviously, culturally important, but more people probably like to watch the original Star Wars trilogy.
But it's not the original Star Wars trilogy where it's the music. So they need to sit there and listen to the music, not watch the films, just listen.
Yes,
which still applies.
Yeah, but you're tacking on a lot of stuff which isn't to do with the soundtrack, Robert. So you're kind of that was sneaky tactics, and it's not working on this podcast. I'm not having it.
But even then, people still going to want to prefer to listen to the Star Wars soundtrack, which is a brilliant soundtrack, by the way. It
depends. If you're more of a drum and bass guy or girl, then you're not really going to want to listen to some John Williams bollocks, are you?
But you are going to want to fast during the day. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
I'm not equating drum and bass listeners to people that like to fast.
People might want to, if it, brings them closer to God and godliness, and that's, the things that they believe it does. Then yes, they might want to. It's not just I'm not going to eat for a month during the day for a month. It's I'm going to do these things for these specific reasons.
I can't argue it any more than I have. Like, what else do you want me to say? I've given you my my true thought, and Brandon even has backed me up in terms of, okay, yes, we said film, but I think the music still applies the same. People listen to the soundtrack. It's a very good soundtrack. It's the best soundtrack. We've already discussed that. So,
yeah, and Ramadan is the best Dan.
Yeah.
What are you thinking, Jack? Where are you leaning?
I think Ramadan. Although I do think if Ramadan wins overall, we all have to take the Shahada. I think that's something we'll have to do.
We're gonna have to.
I don't know what that is. What is that?
I'm uncultured.
The Shahada
don't look surprised.
Is basically a. I don't know if it's specifically a prayer, but it if you say it, you're formally a member of Islam. Like you have converted. Like that is your. That's what
that could be a fun little segment.
So instead of a tattoo, we're fully converting.
Shall we not convert just for the content, because that seems a bit.
What does that mean if Rob wins? We have to convert to a Sith Lord. What?
Excellent.
Yeah, let's do it. That sounds cool.
Excellent.
I will say
good,
there is
right?
no entry on Wikipedia for Ramadan, which does feel
What?
like
There is. I literally read it out verbatim on last week's podcast.
Wikipedia,
Oh.
not Wikipedia.
Oh,
Wikipedia.
okay.
There you
I
go.
was
Now, if
baffled.
you go on Ramadanopedia, does that come up with Star Wars?
Oh.
If such a thing exists?
Okay, there is a
I
Ramadan
want it
wiki. Let me.
There you go. Put Star Wars.
It's not looking good because there's all just placeholders. I think someone's just saved the URL on fandom.
A placeholder until the Star Wars Ramadan crossover comes out. I think I'm going to have to vote Ramadan. If it was the Star Wars movies, I think I might have gone with that. But if it's just the soundtrack, I'm going to level with it. I don't just sit around listening to the Star Wars soundtrack.
I mean, we're going to get to a point where we need to discuss Ramadan versus the working class.
That's going to be a spicy bracket.
This wasn't supposed to be a really politically heavy podcast.
Just
That's
gonna
gonna-
update the spreadsheet. The first quarterfinals is indeed Ramadan versus the working class.
That's going to be problematic. Actually, we might.
Oh, Jesus. There you go. Should have voted for Star Wars.
Right.
Easy word.
The
True,
next,
I changed my mind.
the next bracket is TARDIS versus Cup Noodle.
Fuck the TARDIS. Fuck it in all it's worth. I hate that fucking thing. We've all discussed that it was complete bullshit answer because I did a bullshit answer, and then Ryan was like, this is what it fucking feels like. I'm from fucking Stoke. So it's definitely Cup Noodle. Cup Noodle is a lot more impactful than the TARDIS. You can feed... Not families. You can feed people from it. Families, if you buy lots of them. It's cheap food. It's good food. It's been in a lot more popular culture. Fuck the TARDIS.
Has it? Has it been in more popular culture than the TARDIS?
Outside of Britain.
Yeah, it has.
Oh, then,
No TARDIS in Final Fantasy.
Very fair. Wow. I'm tough up against it. How much of a bullshit science fiction answer do you want and / will allow people to
I mean, you can go. I'm going to say now I'm probably going to go Cup Noodle because I
fuck
I really can't bother with
in the interest of time, fuck it off.
Oh,
thing
sorry.
is, I don't know.
You
Come
make
on,
your
come on,
arguments, but
come on, yeah, make your argument.
Well,
Come on.
you know,
they are in vain.
I don't like wasting my time. I don't like wasting the listeners' time.
I don't want to poo on you too much, Ryan, because of my other answer that will come up either this episode or the next episode, which I'm going to have to fight my case. I will.
I think everyone has one bullshit answer that's slipped the net. Despite
Well,
it's one where we all argue against it until we have one, and then it's the best thing ever. So
I don't think I do. I think the few that I've won have all been quality answers.
Absolute horseshit, but you pop off, son. Yeah,
Got
the TARDIS, as we've previously discussed, is kind of this fix-all, do-all, amazing piece of science fiction, right? And clearly, despite what Jack says, it can do literally anything, everywhere, and all at once. I hope we don't get sued for that. So, yeah, Cup Noodle, you just eat it, and it's in Final Fantasy. That's not better than something that can travel through time and space, mate. There you go. Shove that up your ass.
The problem with the TARDIS is everything it does has been done better in other science fiction media.
It's Jack's Star Trek reference time. Let's
Here we go.
I wasn't.
Sound the
if
alarm.
If you're thinking about time travel, then there's so many better time travel pieces of media. It's just Doctor Who maybe was at its best before the reboot. I think it was fantastic when it was just a cheesy, cheap BBC thing that was there to fill time. Like that was when it was at its best. Christopher Eccleston's lot was really good. A lot of David Tennant's run was really good.
Matt Smith was really hot.
Matt Smith was good.
He was really hot.
I didn't like the. I like the Doctor increasingly. I did not enjoy Matt Smith's Doctor very much. He was a bit too Reddity.
Oof.
In a way that I just didn't.
I felt that in my soul.
I'm not entirely sure what that means, but I know I'd be
random,
upset by
fish
it.
fingers and fucking custard. Oh, go fuck yourself. It's not funny. It's not that. Like, it's not. It's just forced, and I did not appreciate it.
It is a bit like early noughties. Oh, I'm so random. Ooh woo bollocks.
It was,
which
yeah,
I do
it's like,
understand.
oh, we've got people in America watching us now. Let's go all hot topicy and get some t-shirt slogans for them.
Yeah, fair enough. So, is that a vote for Cup Noodle Jack?
Yes.
Go on,
Brandon?
what are you voting for?
Yeah, I don't like Doctor Who, so yes, the noodles for me.
I tried. Cup Noodle is going to the second quarterfinal.
They're delicious.
Yeah, Cup Noodle. Cup Noodle deserves it though. Cup Noodle's fucking great. If anyone can beat Ramadan or Working Class, it's definitely a Cup Noodle.
It's the cup noodle.
So,
the working class meal.
in our final round of 16 for today, we have The Punisher versus an African bull elephant.
Oh!
That's actually
Finally.
pretty good.
That's an incredible bracket.
That's actually pretty good.
I mean, it's
like
a fucking elephant. It's going to win.
Yeah.
It's the
Absolutely
Punisher.
not.
It's
It's
got
the fucking Punisher.
guns coming out of his arms.
It's an elephant.
Yeah, we do have a problem here in that the Punisher would be able to blast the fuck out of an elephant. I believe elephants get poached, do they not? So would the Punisher
Only
just
when
not
they're
be
unaware.
a poacher?
And
Oh,
if
really?
they're like,
They do-
if
if
they're
they're
both
running?
like one-on-one aware what's going on, I think the elephant has it.
Nah, I think.
I'm not saying it
Punisher's
survives afterwards. I think the Punisher goes down first.
Do we put them in the same fighting ring that we put the elephant in
Yes.
with the other contenders and decide who would actually win that?
Yes.
Because if we're saying now, I believe that when we had the deadliest animal, it was like a bare knuckle. I guess you know what I mean. There was no weaponry involved.
Well,
not that animals could carry
Not
weapons.
really. It was more. It was
Wasn't it?
obviously a large cage, but the animals
Yeah.
had their own weapons. That's like saying, yeah, you can have the elephant, but he can't have his tusks
Was
or
it?
anything.
Oh,
Okay,
true.
but
You know.
the weapons the Punisher uses are not things that are attached or grown. Like, they're not part of him.
Yeah, but it's
He
still
hasn't got any actual abilities.
It's part of the character, though. It's
part of the character. Yeah,
No.
The Punisher has way more military experience than
If you're
Bull Elephant.
giving the Punisher his guns, then the elephant can have some sort of mounted
Laser.
weapon.
No,
Yeah,
why? No,
because you're
Okay,
giving
why
him the
would he?
guns.
I've got a
He always
solution.
has
Same thing.
guns.
Give him
That's-
weapons,
oh,
then you
well.
have to give the elephant weapons.
We give the
Punisher
ele-
might as well be running around with his dick out then, because the
give-
elephant
no,
ain't
no,
wearing
no.
trousers. What are
We
you
give-
talking about?
We give the elephant 1 AK, and it's on that elephant's shoes if it can wield it or not. But we made it fair. No, make it fair. Give them 1 AK each. Done.
1K AK each. I do not believe an AK would. I don't know. Like, would an AK be able to take down an elephant? Because you need there's a reason that elephant guns are called elephant guns.
Well, we give them 1 elephant gun each.
Well, to be
Well,
an
no,
AK,
come on.
an AK. This is so absurd. The Punisher could
AK.
kill an elephant with an AK.
Yeah.
Full 30-round magazine. If he fucking hits that point again, and it's quite a high caliber rifle, really, compared to other assault rifles. So yeah,
I mean,
No, hold on. They get mortally wounded, so pretty wounded, because the caliber of an AK-47
It's too low.
automatic assault rifle is too small
Yeah.
to kill an elephant effectively.
it takes
So,
too long. So the
if
elephant would kill
was
Frank Castle.
charging, because if it was charging the Punisher and the Punisher was unloading into the elephant,
Oh yeah. Tell me more.
yeah, and then he grabs the AK.
I mean, with
No.
the AK as well, you're pretty certain it's probably going to end up jamming and stuff. Like they're sort of renowned for being terrible guns because
Can
they're
I
so cheaply
choose
made.
another gun, please? Please.
I mean,
think
I
you
don't know
need-
why we're focusing so much on them killing each other. I get a lot more joy out of elephants than I've ever had out of the Punisher.
If
people probably know more about elephants than they do the Punisher. Also, it's Marvel, and Marvel can suck my ass. So
when I mentioned the Punisher last time, everyone was like, "Oh, it's cool," but now fucking Marvel.
I don't know why you've changed your mind on that. To be honest,
In
also,
comparison,
Marvel-
but also I get a lot more joy. I think the world is better off having elephants in it than it ever is with the Punisher in.
Yeesh. I mean, he is right. That is a point that I will be willing to concede on.
Elephants are just an objectively good thing.
Yeah.
The Punisher.
No, fuck.
Well, we wouldn't need the Punisher if it wasn't for other bad things. It's not his fault. He's just doing his best.
What Brandon said.
That's with an AK up an
I don't think
elephant's
we need
asshole.
the Punisher.
But-
We don't have a Punisher in real life. What we have in real life are things like the Unabomber. And school shootings. That's what the Punisher is in real life.
Oh God! Oh Jesus! I don't remember that episode. Isn't in Marvel?
Just because he
Like,
wears
it's
a
funny
trench
film.
coat every now
No,
and
that's
then,
what
doesn't
that's what that sort of trauma does to a person in real life. Is they go along and shoot up somewhere. They don't go and become a vigilante.
So the elephant wins, yeah, because it's all good and everything's fine on this podcast.
Well, hold on. Is it me and Brandon voting for this one?
We're the judges, right?
Yeah, I think so.
My vote's
gonna go-
Punisher.
And I'm going elephant. So get those fucking
Right.
criterias out, boys.
It's
Here we
time.
fucking
I
go.
cannot fucking wait for this.
Introduce the questions, Mr. Host Robert.
Me? Okay, sure. So we have 3. The first one is, how much liquid can it hold? And I think the elephant could probably
I'll
hold
give it to
an
the
awful lot
elephant,
more
in all
liquid.
fairness, yeah.
the Punisher. Does the liquid in an elephant, because they can blow it out of their nosy, right? But do they put it in their mouth to do that? And then like
No, they can suck it up with the trunk is their nose, but they suck it into their
straw.
nose, and then if they want to drink it, they will squirt it into their mouth, or they can squirt it at other people. Like it's just
Either
a
way,
nose.
just from the sheer cheek storage, they'd hold more water
more of it.
in the mouth than the Punisher could. To be fair, even if he was like gargling.
I mean,
don't
if
know.
I've seen an elephant piss, it does go for a long time.
All right, weird brag. Okay.
Like, there was a point
next
I could not drive forward until it was finished because it was in the middle of the road.
that's crazy. Bloody hell. You could pick that all up. You need some water. You could put it through your little filter. That's quite good actually. I wonder how much water elephants can actually hold, you know?
Wait,
Quite a lot.
And I mean, the other thing is the Punisher provides no ecological benefit.
That's not a question.
We're not worried about it. That's not one of the questions.
Just putting that out there. Just putting that out there, though.
That's a
Whereas
question.
elephants, there's plants that depend on them. There's animals that depend on them. They're ecosystem engineers. They create watering holes and similar things and maintain them. Very important animals. Punisher does not create watering holes.
I bet the Punisher could plant more trees than an elephant if you want to go down that route.
If the Punisher was also really into conservation, maybe that's something we don't know about, and actually he does an awful lot.
I bet he has an allotment.
Okay, next question is... Do you want next one? Oh, sorry, Grady, go on.
I was just going to say the elephants won it on water, I think, for sure.
Okay, so what would you rather be presented with at a dinner party? Now, I don't think... From what you've just said about the Punisher, does he just shoot people up for the sake of shooting
He's just
people up?
an
Does he have any actual
extremely
motive?
traumatized man who's hunting down other people. Like, I don't think he would be a very good person to have a
But bad
conversation
guys.
with.
He's
I
not
don't think
shooting everyone, right? He's targeting ne'er-do-wells.
He is one of the more morally grey. Like, he's least likely to only target bad guys.
I bet
He's
he's
not-
got some really cool dinner stories for when you have
He's
a
got
moment
some-
at
Yeah, I was about
dinner
to say,
party.
He's got some stories.
I
Let me
think
tell you, it might put you off
it
your
would
feet.
just be traumatizing. Yeah,
Yeah, but
whereas
the
an
elephant's-
elephant is a joy to be around.
The elephant is just going to shit all over your living room.
Do you want me
It's
to
fucking
show you some
massive.
TikToks of some elephants just sort of being
Also, doesn't the...
elephants?
I thought you said just a second ago, Jack. You just said that, and I think it was not a second ago. This is the actual episode. You said that one charged your car, and you've never gone in reverse so quick in your life. That doesn't sound very well.
Yeah, but that wasn't at a dinner party. That was me driving through his fucking house.
Yeah, so there's less of an escape at a dinner party.
Look, I've seen some elephants just chilling. They're great. They're good. They're gonna be a better hang than the Punisher, than Frank Castle.
Debatable.
I don't want to
I
spend
disagree.
time. I don't want to spend time with Frank Castle.
Well, that's 3-1 in terms of elephants to Frank Castle / the Punisher. So
Yeah, I think the rest of us all want to hear horrific war stories.
yeah.
100%.
I want to hear about when he
need to go
beat someone to
therapy.
death with a shoe.
So the last question then to decide it is what is least likely to be lost in a taxi on the way to Nando's? I'm afraid
It's the elephant.
that's going to be an
It's the
elephant
elephant.
because the elephant is pretty big.
It is the elephant.
Wait, does that mean it's split 2-2, or is it 3-1?
No, it means elephants won.
Elephants
As
won
it
on
should.
Oh.
You all need to
Yeah.
go to therapy if you want to spend any time with the Punisher.
I'm
Any
not
time.
going
I would
again.
never want to meet that person.
Right.
I'd rather be bought like a bottle of wine instead of get charged by an elephant. So, because he might not want to come.
But it's
like,
just not going to be
who's
any
inviting
fun.
elephant to
He's
dinner?
the things he says are all just going to be just horrible. He's just the
If he's-
worst
if the-
person to
I
ever
don't think
spend
the
time
Punisher's gonna
with.
Punisher's not going to snort water up his nose and squirt it at me and piss on the floor. So, I mean, that's...
And if he did, what a fucking story. Remember he
Yeah.
invited Frank round for dinner, he just starts pissing on everyone?
He might do that, but it's just a side effect of his PTSD, his extreme PTSD. You're just all saying that you really want to spend time with people with debilitating PTSD, and that's
Or we
weird.
just not, maybe we're just not as into elephants as you are, dude. What are you?
So,
Well, elephant's fruit. Congratulations, elephant. Yourself a
we've
pat on the back.
got our two quarterfinals for this episode, which is the working class versus Ramadan. And Cup Noodle versus Elephant. So, shall
We
we
maybe do bracket 2 first, because that first one sounds quite spicy.
Let's jump into it. Come on, Brandon.
Okay.
Let's do.
got to do it at some point.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So the first quarterfinal of the first ever inaugural Best Butties season finale. It's the working class versus Ramadan.
There must 100% be more working class people and working class people that are Muslim.
Yes. Yeah,
than
for
there
sure.
are Muslims partaking Ramadan.
Yeah, I would argue that the working class will make up a reasonable percentage of the people that follow and celebrate and take part in Ramadan. I would argue that as a whole, the sheer collection of working class people have probably raised more for charity than just people that do it as part of Ramadan. I would argue that probably there's a chunk of people that don't take part in Ramadan and would still be able to contribute to those charities that are having awareness raised as part of Ramadan. There's going to be plenty of people that are like, oh, okay, just finding out about it, the whole point of raising awareness, and be like, that's a great cause. Here's a fiver. So as a whole, I would argue the working class in general can do more good for the world.
But that's potential good. We've got, when we put actual figures to paper, we get a yearly annual charitable donation from the Muslim community.
But you're not talking about Muslims, you're talking about Ramadan.
Yeah,
and Ramadan's only a set period of time.
From that charitable donation from Ramadan. Whereas Brandon's talking in pure terms of potential charitable donations, if that's the battlefield you want to fight on.
What definition are we using for the working class here? I want to get an understanding of what people... Because I understand what I think working class is, but I very much use the Marxist definition of the proletariat.
I think if it's the working class, I genuinely do think it's sticking to this country based on how we judge class. Because
that's the other thing I was going to say, is the idea of the working class that we have is very much a Western idea of working class, and one in based in Marxist theory, and obviously that changes and morphs both with time, with governments, and depending on what part of the world you're in. Different sort of versions of socialism have slightly different ideas of what the working class is. So I don't know what you guys understand the working class to be, though.
Would working class just be like a group of people that do a certain type of jobs?
not necessarily. It's income based a lot of the time.
Yeah, there's the theory definition, and then there are practical definitions, which are either income based or occupation based. Occupation is more often the measuring stick.
Well, I mean, the thing with working class, it is, I guess, sort of vague or general, but regardless of how you're quantifying it, whether it's just, I guess if you class it as a certain income bracket or a certain type of job or certain, maybe social status or certain things, all of that, it will change and vary throughout, I guess, like I said, time, location, but it's always going to be realistically people on, unfortunately, the lower end of things like the pay scale. There will always be focus on people that have somewhat less, realistically. Do we agree?
Like manual, yeah, they're like manual labour jobs would be
right. Okay, yeah. So you're using it in a non-socialist context, because in a socialist context, working class is purely it's under a strict sort of Marxist. Marx said working class is I've got to try and remember theory. It's basically everyone who has nothing to sell but their own labour, which is a much broader definition, because that would include a lot of people that we would put into the middle class. It's basically everyone that doesn't own companies and own things that produce, but actually does the production. So in a non-socialist context, it's much more about, okay, exactly what type of job are you in? And then we get into the very American blue collar and pink collar definitions and wage labour. Or we're purely talking in terms of income levels, and then we get into introduction of the middle class, and we start defining them based on access to certain things like education. I can go into theory, it's fine, but it's not going to be particularly interesting. I just wanted to get an idea of what we're defining them as, because if we don't know what we're defining them as, we can't make the arguments.
Yep.
I disagree. I think working class is quite open. There's obviously various definitions for it. I imagine a lot of people have very varying definitions of working class, but we all have a rough idea what we're talking about and the general kind of person. Do you really need to get that into the nitty-gritty? Realistically?
No,
for a
but
nonsense podcast? It's a great show, it's true, but
this bracket's way too like intellectually sort
too
of
deep.
involved for me.
It's too many connotations.
I mean, at least we've intellectualized it rather than shouting slurs at each other, which is
it's good.
Well
I'm sure next bracket will bring balance to the force.
Yeah.
But I still stand by that. Everyone that out of the selection of people taking part in Ramadan, there'll still be a very good chunk that would class as being working class, of varying degrees and definitions, but there will regardless still be a good chunk that class as working class. So that means I can kind of steal a good chunk of your benefits for my argument, and I have surplus people. So from a numbers game,
so I mean,
I think I've got it.
the vague point I was driving at is when we discuss the working class in the UK, we often ignore the Muslim working class, which are in the modern UK are a huge make up a huge number of British working class.
Yeah.
And yet we very rarely see Muslim people depicted when discussing the British working class. And the fact, I don't know which side this argument actually falls down on. I'm just making a statement, I guess. It's a comment, not a question.
Not a question.
Surely that would mean then that would be an argument for working class, no? Because like their jobs are important for keeping the country going.
But similarly, you can make the argument that the observance of Ramadan promotes helping of others even when you have nothing or less to contribute. Like they still make those donations in huge numbers and do what they can for communities, despite also being a major component of less economically wealthy portion of the UK.
And I think another thing with Ramadan, you get news coverage on the BBC and other big outlets to give a positive spin, a positive light on Islam and the Muslim community, which is often very biased in our right-wing media. So I think if you're part of a celebration which fosters like a really good multicultural aspect to this country and to the general world, I think that's a better overall positive to build a more inclusive culture at the moment, because we're very conflicted in terms of different media outlets and different politicians trying to break us apart, when in fact I think we should all be together. So anything that contributes to that, I think is the most important and the best. So
equally, it's probably mostly the and this is just another thing, the middle class are going to be the ones that are racist against Muslims most of the time. So the working class have a bonus there. They're probably less racist in general. But I'm just making disconnected statements about things at this point.
What do you think?
This got heavy.
This got.
I don't know how it couldn't. Like, we've got to make a choice. I'm gonna vote working class on the understanding that it is on its purely socialist definition and includes the Muslim working class as a contributor, and as just a group of people that do more good than other classes. And that includes Muslim working class people. I don't think they're immune in modern Britain from the issues that come with wealth and not being a member of the working class.
Mm-hmm. It is a numbers game partially as well, like you just said. Especially if there's a lot of Muslims, because I didn't know that a lot of Muslims were in the working class in the UK. Mm-hmm. So I will go for the working class also. But very good Ramadan.
No, it's brilliant. I've probably only got through because I can steal a large chunk of your.
Basically, yeah.
And I'll keep doing that.
But also, hey, people should read Marx.
Yeah, it's literally on my shelf.
That's where it ends up for most people, on the shelf, never opened. Or the first part of the manifesto, or the Capital is opened, and then the second and third are ignored.
Yeah.
There's a great podcast where is basically a read along of Capital by a prominent professor of Marxism, and he actually makes it extremely digestible and is very well worth reading. Cool. I'll try and find the name up of that for show notes at some point.
So, on to our final quarterfinals of this week's episode. It's what we've all been waiting for, realistically, isn't it? It's Cup Noodle versus Elephant. Let's try and make this one a bit more lighthearted. But you never know with us, do you?
Okay, but Mark said...
How does sorry, going back to the other bracket here, where at the end of Ramadan there is a celebration to break fast, right? That is correct. Yeah?
Is that Eid? Yeah.
That's Eid. Eid. Okay. You see, now that's pretty fucking cool, because I bet you there's some fucking cool shit that goes on during Eid.
Robert's just pro feasting in all its forms.
Food, everything's food.
Eid's great. Eid, I'm just down the road from Leicester. There's a huge Eid celebration there, fireworks and everything. I would rather they didn't do the fireworks, but that's my personal vendetta against fireworks working in animal welfare.
Okay.
It's great. It's good. If people have the experience to go and join in, then it's well worth it.
Okay, sorry. Carry on. Next bracket.
It's Cup Noodle versus Elephant. You guys crack on. Go on, lads.
It's a fucking elephant. It's so good.
The elephant is pretty.
It's pretty. Elephant's pretty.
Well, no.
Stick some lipstick on
that. And get kissing. Get smacking. Oh, come on, boys. What the fuck would you rather have? A cup noodle or a bloody elephant?
An elephant?
No, you would not want an elephant.
Yes,
Nobody
I
wants
would.
an elephant.
More than anything.
You do not. Well, they poop a lot.
Yes.
I bet you've
so
got to do
do
some hella
so
manicure on them tusks. Take way too long. Cup noodle. Go to El Chopo. Buy your cup noodle. Pour in your hot water. Add your gachapon paste. Add your
No, it's gochujang paste. You fucking
gochujang paste. Apologies, that one. Gochujang paste. That one.
Robert's adding capsule toys to his pot noodle.
You sit down and you enjoy your food as it warms your very soul while you watch the television. And you watch whatever the land version of Blue Planet is, and then you see David Attenborough talking about elephants, because you can look at them at a safe distance, because if you get anywhere near one, it will fuck you up. Whereas the cup noodle won't fuck you up unless you're particularly bad with spicy
you do
food.
not get multiple hour-long documentaries on pot noodles.
Yeah, you don't.
No,
the fact that you want to sit there and look at the elephant, just chilling, fucking living its life. I don't want to sit there and stare at a pot noodle for an hour.
Also, you said there is a cup noodle museum, but elephants are literally like mounted in every single museum that is.
And also in zoological gardens.
Yeah.
You can see them dead or alive, they're just as entertaining.
Sure, but is there a museum that only has elephants?
Yes, probably.
Almost definitely.
Definitely.
Almost
There actually is. I'm pretty sure there's one which documents elephants today and goes through mammoths as well, because I'm pretty sure I've got a colleague that has been there.
There are multiple. There are ones
must
that look
be.
at elephants' role within Indian culture. There's a whole museum in Thailand dedicated to elephants, the Royal Elephant National Museum.
That sounds rad as fuck.
There's also museums like Mr. Ed's Elephant Museum and Candy Emporium.
That
which
sounds
is
nonsense.
Just a
That sounds a bit
huge
diddly.
novelty elephant museum.
Can we whack out the nonsense?
Elephant World?
Please.
The Smithsonian have all their dioramas on African bush elephants.
They do. It's cool. I went there last year.
It's all good. Yeah, elephants. Elephants are the obvious winners. No one like pot noodles. There's so many other things I'd rather eat.
Cup noodles killed less people.
I don't believe that's.
I want the stats. If you're gonna shit that out there, back it up with fucking.
Cup noodle doesn't kill people. No, and by kill people, I mean like eating it. I'm not talking about
A 16-year-old promising footballer collapsed and died on his living room floor after eating a pot noodle.
I
Pot
bet
noodle,
there's
cup
more
noodle,
to that than
cup
just
noodle.
the pot
You were
noodle
trying to
had
include a pot
vendetta.
noodle in Cut Noodles
cup noodle.
the other episode.
Cup noodle. Yeah, well, we were on this episode, cup noodle. I'm not saying pot noodle. Now, find me the statistic
All right.
and who's killed.
I'll
who
just
on
change
cup
the word
noodle.
pot to cup.
Excellent. Let me just have a look at how many.
My 2 nephews and 3 other kids died after eating instant noodles. Don't feed them to your children. It's not looking good, Rob.
How many people have been killed by African?
This kind of research that should have been done before the podcast.
No. It's all good. That's just
Okay, they're not going to reveal the brand of instant noodles until the autopsies are performed.
Do you reckon they can tell that after they've been ingested and like digested for a little bit? The brand of noodles.
Well, I think the family
tasty.
might be aware of what brand killed their children.
True, but let's talk about a hypothetical situation where you have to identify the brand of noodle post-mortem during an autopsy. Do you reckon you can do it?
Do you reckon it's one like the detective is going over the crime scene again after they clean up, and they just pull out the sauce sachet from behind the couch, being like a clue.
Or they have a little kettle and they just cut them open and pour a little bit in there. And just like, let's just give this a go, shall we? Oh, that's definitely a
Shrimp.
fucking beef anonio. In the WWF, apparently, in India alone, 100 people are killed by elephants yearly.
In the World Wrestling Federation.
In the World Wrestling Federation of pandas, that is apparently the statistic. Technically, this is an African bull elephant, though, isn't it? We're talking about not an Indian elephant.
Yeah,
so
who's a
that's
good
right.
Elephant.
There's a person who only eats cup noodles, so I guess, at least for that person.
Yeah, he's on the podcast.
But which one is it?
Yeah.
I've got already got a few stories on here of them crushing.
Oh, I mean, they
People.
do kill people, yeah.
Yeah,
Most
well,
of the time,
there you
those
go.
people are fucking around and should know better than to approach elephants.
And
A
they
good
found
proportion, a good proportion of those are probably people just living their lives and obviously can't be blamed. But I still rather have elephants than a pot noodle.
And
Here
you're
we
going to have to
go.
pull out some...
African elephant. Sorry.
Yep.
500 deaths per year. That's
Okay.
a lot of fucking deaths for an elephant. Cup noodle kill that many people. You can enjoy your cup noodle, as I say.
I would say
in
an
perfect
elephant
peace.
would probably taste better than a cup noodle would.
No.
Yeah, 100%.
I think a properly prepared elephant would probably taste better.
Not that we
More
condone that.
vegetarians can eat cup noodles than they can eat elephants.
They
so,
can, yes, they are vegetarian, but they don't taste fantastic. They're fine. They're just fine.
Exactly.
It's like
Cup-
the
what,
idea
cup
of
noodles?
mid food is a cup noodle or a pot noodle. It's just mid. It's just fine. You can have better noodles.
I like cup noodles.
You can have better of almost anything that it is.
Can we accept a slight tangent that I saw on Twitter this week? A very small tangent, which I thought was absolutely bonkers. So fucking incels have decided to horrifically rate female celebrities. It's fucking terrible. Stop being mean to fucking women people on the internet. But
Where's this going, Ryan?
the Twitter trolls are all seemingly like categorizing Margot Robbie, an absolutely gorgeous woman, as mid. And I'm just like, what?
I thought they were like rating them as either pot noodles or cup noodles. Or...
I told you it was a tangent, but it just blew my mind. It's like, she is absolutely stunning, and these incels are like, oh, she's mid, just because they've clearly never seen anywhere near any kind of sexual relationship in their entire lives.
What are they? How are they arguing that she's mid?
They're literally just saying she's mid, and that's it. I'm like,
Not even like showing the working.
well, yeah, they're just being horrific to her, which I don't want to repeat on the podcast because I probably should have brought this up because it's a weird tangent, but.
National treasure, Margot Robbie. You kidding me?
Yeah.
No, Margot
Australian
Robbie's
national
fit.
treasure. Yes.
Yeah, I never said which nation.
And by proxy,
I thought you were trying to claim her.
Well,
You are mine now.
Anyway, sorry about that. For me, it's elephant, so fuck you, cup noodle.
Elephants bring more to the world than pot noodles do. They existed long before. They'll exist long after. Hopefully, maybe not. Depends how we go. But they should. They're better.
Yeah, but they didn't answer a food crisis after the war, did they? The cup noodles did that. Saved probably many people's lives instead of dying.
I
would
would argue that there would not be pot noodles without elephants. Give me a second to work on that.
Show you're working, come on.
Yeah, what the fuck?
If you pull this off, it'll be an all-time great of this podcast. If not, I might even change my answer because of this.
There's nothing.
You've made a very bold statement there.
Well, I think so. If we go back to the out of Africa hypothesis, broadly accepted in modern science, that we came from Africa, and also accept that elephant ranges are vastly reduced from where they are, we have evidence, and it's very sort of obvious, that early humans would have hunted elephants and elephant-related species, like early elephants, as food. And if we didn't have them, then maybe not enough humans would have existed. We wouldn't have succeeded in that. Look.
Also, Jack, you say early elephants, fine, but your argument's for an African bull elephant. Now, how old is an African bull elephant?
It's evolutionary history does not go far that back, surely.
Probably not, no.
It's still elephant despite that horse shit from me, so...
Oh, fucking Jesus Christ.
I haven't voted yet.
It was a very long shot, but I needed to say something else other than, look at these guys, aren't they fucking great? Because there's very little you can say about an elephant that isn't just, look at it. What a majestic motherfucker.
People say that about me quite a lot.
We'll call him Ryan Elephant Man Marek.
And just a huge cultural impact on wherever elephants are found in a way that cup noodle could never.
Oof.
People fucking love cup noodles. If I
Yeah,
saw
but
a
they
cup
haven't
noodle, like, fuck
contributed
yes, I love
to
cup
human
noodle.
culture in the same way. You think of
Brandon.
like they appear in early art and things in a like you don't see that many pieces of art around the cup noodle.
That's the way you're winning this round. If you found me a cave painting of a cup noodle, I'll give this to you. And one that's not fake.
Cave painting of cup noodle. Go on, Brandon. You go ahead, and I'll.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of want to see the cave painting. I've just this has been, can I just say, a joy to watch. I haven't really said much for this bracket because I've just been watching the show, and my God, I'm voting cup noodle, baby.
Ooh, it's a tiebreaker.
I'm voting cup noodle. Here's the thing, man. I've never. I reckon now. I can just go. I can enjoy a cup noodle any time of day. And I won't be fearing for my life. A giant fucking African bull elephant pulls up. I ain't just going to be like, put the kettle on, love. I'm feeling peckish. I'm going to fucking be shitting myself. I'm going to run off. Absolutely
but it's not necessarily a giant African bull elephant. It could be a orphaned African bull elephant. And then they're pretty chill and they just want to play.
Yeah. Batman was an orphan and he knows all sorts of martial arts. So that doesn't fly.
Well, you should have chosen Batman instead of the Punisher. You should have just ignored the Marvel stipulation.
I didn't pick Punisher. Yeah, it's pot noodle.
So you're putting the kettle on when you see an African elephant. What, are you going to blanch the elephant or something? And eat
Also,
it?
to be fair, I'm not sure
a cup of tea.
I'm not sure which side this swings for, but I probably would eat an elephant pot noodle.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there, to be honest with you.
But elephants, they're more diverse in sort of the culinary options available when preparing an elephant.
I'm unsure.
You can do all sorts of stuff with the
you can
noodles.
do a lot of instant noodle hacks. A lot.
And
but
you
just
can crunch your noodles as well, uncooked on sandwiches.
Or you can eat them like little
Elephant
crisps.
recipes.
Right.
African
Okay.
flavor.
I reckon there's an entire TikTok trend about different ways to prepare a pot noodle and what
There
you can
is.
serve it
I
as.
mean, I've got a
Probably not for elephants though. So.
I've got a vintage recipe here for elephant stew, which is apparently asking for one elephant.
That's a lot of stew.
That's
got to be.
It's a big pot.
I think we're seeing an early meme here where it has been typed up on a typewriter and is old, but I do not think it's serious.
Yeah. No. I'm going to level with you. I don't think it's going to get through the tie-break criteria, but I'm going to go with my hearty screaming cup noodle right now.
Well, can I at least say, if I'm not going to win this, even after the criteria, you would surely rather be presented with a cup noodle at a dinner party than you would do an elephant. Out of all three, of
I
those,
wouldn't,
right? I
but that's
understand.
me
Why?
because it's an elephant.
Well,
Assuming it was being kept in an ethical way and was not taken from the wild purely for this dinner party, then I would rather spend time with an elephant.
Yeah.
That's it.
Then a lot of things.
There's no ethical connotations with a cup noodle, is there? I ain't got to panic.
You don't know
I ain't
that.
gotta worry
Let's
that-
have a look. Cup noodle factory conditions.
This has got so much fucking googling in this one episode, boys. Let's whap out the criteria while we wait.
Whap it out. Right, first of all, how much water can they hold? Again, the elephant really is storming that fucking criteria.
now let me-
Chinese
let me
factory
just- let me
causes a stink after staff pictures sticking their feet into a giant pile of noodles and sleeping on them. So when you're next tucking into a pot noodle, there's been some feet.
Cup
and-
noodle, Jack. Please understand? I'm talking about a cup noodle, not a pot noodle. Stop.
Well, I
saying
mean,
pot
they're
noodle.
both going to come from the same factory.
Oh, this is
Yeah,
bullshit.
probably adds to the flavour. I'll suck on the toes. Right.
And if anything, a pot noodle
Also-
probably has less chance of having feet in there because I think they're made within Europe. I don't know.
Are they?
Cup noodles
What
made
pot
in
noodle?
Europe?
No, pot
Noodles,
noodle.
no cup noodles.
We're
maybe.
not talking about pot noodles.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is cup noodles are more likely to have feet in them.
But about the liquid, just want
It's
to say,
elephant.
now hold
it
on
is
a second.
elephant, mate.
When
Elephant
you put
holds a
your
lot
water in
more.
the cup noodle, the noodle sucks up the water and you put more in it. Now, who do you think actually knows how much water a cup noodle can actually hold? Because nobody fills it up even more after it's cooked. So it's infinity amounts of water because nobody has tested that.
No.
Because you'll ruin your cup noodle. Because you'll ruin your cup noodle, and people don't want to ruin
It's
their
a
cup noodle
fixed
because they're
quantity.
hungry.
Don't give me this bullshit.
There's only so much. Yeah, because otherwise people would just keep pouring. There'd be a giant noodle monster.
Look, we'd literally solve
point
the
is-
world
the point
hunger
is that-
crisis if that was the case.
We
It's
just
not
like- just
fucking
pour more
true.
water
No,
in.
people don't. No, people don't. No, people don't know. That's what I'm saying. That's why it's this infinity amount because nobody wants to
This
ruin
is
their
so
pot
dark.
noodle.
No,
So
no,
spill
don't
out.
be an idiot.
fucking hell, man. I'm trying my best here. What do you want me to do?
Sorry,
Like,
You were always going to lose this one, but it shouldn't have got this far because objectively, if you remove cup noodles from the world as if they had never existed, I care less than if you were to do the same thing to elephants.
That is one opinion though. Anyway,
It's
next
the right
question.
Can we
opinion.
move on? I'm starting to think you're not respecting the tie-break rules now, Jack.
No, go ahead. I wanted to say that, but
Next question.
So, what was the dinner party?
What-
Did we do dinner party?
done
What
dinner
would we rather be
party.
presented with? I think the answer was
Cup noodle.
cup noodle,
Elephant.
wasn't it?
it's definitely a cup.
it's
cup
an
noodle.
elephant.
Much more delicious.
In fact, if someone whips out an elephant at a dinner party, I'm probably getting impaled by
That's
it.
the coolest fucking dinner party
or-
you've ever been to.
Or if they're whipping their elephant out of the pie, they need to put their cock away and put their pockets
Oh,
back in.
very funny. Very funny. Very funny. It sounds like you went to private school.
Wait, that was a good
You were
one.
so
Was that the-
pleased with that. Also,
I thought that was a blank expression on your face then, Brandon.
No,
I can show you right now on the call.
no, I just thought it was a bold assumption that you couldn't serve a pot noodle with your cock out, but all right.
It's me, Cup Noodle Cock.
Wait,
How you doing?
Cock noodle.
What's the current scores on the question? We've got elephant winning
One each.
One each, and I'll be honest, this last one, it's looking rather Dumbo right now.
What?
So
There's no Disney films about cup noodles.
No.
And that's a crying shame. So the final one is that let's say you were travelling via a taxi to a Nando's. Which of these are most likely to be lost? Mayhap like a wallet. Would it be a cup noodle or an African bull elephant? And in all honesty, if that situation, my eyes are firmly locked on that elephant. So.
Wait, how did you phrase that question to begin with? Were you
So-
more likely to lose?
What are you more? Oh, sorry. I guess the winner is what's
least
least likely to be
likely.
lost. Yes.
Yes.
Apologies. Yeah.
So it's elephant,
Least like.
definitely.
I would say that if you had an elephant in a country that doesn't have elephants, you'd be paying more attention to your cup noodle because you're like, fucking motherfuckers, no motherfucking elephants here. So they'd lose the elephant, and then people would be like, hey, bro, you got the cup noodle and the elephant? It's like, I got the cup noodle, but elephant?
If you lose
What
an
do you mean
elephant,
elephant?
it's an event. Like the WWF gets involved.
Vince McMahon comes out.
Losing an elephant is a much bigger deal.
I'd definitely be more concerned about losing my elephant than losing my cup noodle.
So
You're not going to let it happen.
I think that means that our first ever semi-finals is the working class.
Versus an
This-
African bull elephant.
Who came up with this fucking
but before we-
This is brilliant. What are you talking about?
But before we get there, we've slandered each other. We've thrown some nasty insults about. We've called Rob a Tory.
He is a Tory.
He is a Tory.
And a
Why is he
furry.
the Tory?
Yeah,
And
no,
a
to be
furry.
fair, Rob's
Call
the furry.
Brandon was the
And,
Tory.
Wait, why am I a Tory?
Oh, this is... we're constructing a narrative.
Show you working, Robert.
Yeah,
Come
show
on.
you working.
What?
But-
Guy finally gets on the property ladder, gets a mortgage at a poor rate, and now he's a Tory.
I swear we called Brandon a
Whoa, whoa.
Tory during the class episode.
To be fair,
We
I
definitely
get called a Tory and a redneck quite a lot. So
Before we slander each other anymore, before we get onto the final bracket of today, which is the first semi-final, shall we discuss some nice things that have happened to us this week on our little Ain't That Peachy segment, boys?
cup of peach,
The big time, cup of
peach,
in the night time, cup of
peach,
tea in the morning, cup of
peach.
tea at the right time.
Yeah.
Don't all come at me at once, bloody hell.
I was leaving a nice pause for you to insert our new theme song for it. Actually,
Yeah,
That's
we
true,
had
actually.
to, it saves the editing.
Nah,
yeah.
Rob's doing it.
You're
fine.
welcome.
Go on, Ryan, because you introduced it. You go first because...
Okay, then my parents came down to visit me at London this weekend, and A, it was nice to see them, but B, we went to Walthamstow Wetlands, which is like a big wetlands. There's loads of bird species nesting there, and my parents were just adorable bird watching together. And then they've got a new app where they identify plants using their phone camera. And I was like, oh, you guys are so wholesome in your retirement. So that's my nice thing for this week. How about the rest of you lads?
That's
that
genuinely
sounds like an ideal
so
weekend.
sweet.
I'm so jealous of them. I love doing that. I have not been able to go like twitching for so long.
Twitching.
Twitching.
Yeah, it's
Bird watching.
Yeah, bird watching.
All right. Don't
They call it
Yeah,
twitching.
why say that so matter of fact?
It's because this is a really common.
It is quite a common phrase for bird watching, admittedly.
It's just Mummy and Daddy Marek with a microphone like, hey guys, it's me.
Where
Yeah.
we dropping boys?
Look at those birds.
I mean, we could. I was thinking we should maybe start using this Twitch account that we made and didn't do anything with at some point. That's something we should do.
Sounds like we need to get Ryan's parents on the case because they're the pro Twitchers. and then we'll-
Please, can we just make our Twitter account Twitter?
Oh, I
or
think they're
Twitch,
more likely
both?
to go on OnlyFans. I think.
No, I'm vetoing this entire conversation. I'm never going to mention anything on this podcast again.
They could 100% do both. So...
That really sounds that sounds like a great weekend. I'm very jealous. I have not had a chance to go out into nature in so long, because I don't have
because the basement doors are locked on the outside. And
I've not been sleeping until like 6 a.m. every night for 3 or 4 weeks while I work on stuff. So.
Oh Jesus, that's not good. Go outside, mate. It's good.
Touch grass.
Yeah, what are the highlights, Ryan? The birds and the plant species that you actually saw.
We saw a lot of cool stuff at Kew Gardens, but that's kind of cheating.
Pigeons?
Yeah, pigeons. Lots of pigeons, mate. We saw a lot of tufted ducks. We saw some little tufted duck babies. They were really cute and sweet.
What a twitch!
Yeah, it's a phenomenal twitch.
I was hoping you.
There are
albatross.
Twitch channels. There are Twitch channels. There's one in particular where you can just watch ducks.
Really?
Yeah. There's loads of animal ones, and
there's a lot
usually if you give like subs or bits or whatever, it'll put out a little bit of food or bread or something for them.
Oh,
what's a crested
It's really
duck,
good.
baby?
I need that in my life.
There's also like I think it's the Monterey Bay Aquarium has their Twitch channel where you can just watch otters all day. I love that.
Very good.
Otters, yeah. Rosa. Is Rosa the otter from Monterey Bay?
Maybe, I don't know.
I watch Doug, and he does like a stream every year for a birthday and raises shitloads of money for charity. It's awesome.
Oh, that's cute.
It's good.
Yeah, there's a whole animals, aquariums, and zoo section of Twitch that people should.
Maybe Twitch isn't a fucking cesspit. That's so nice to hear that's a little category.
No, it's really good.
Until you find it's got a league on it, and then you go back to the hole you go, mate.
Anything else, boys?
I'll go next, if you want. I recently reconnected with a friend from university, which is really cool, and he listens to the podcast like every episode. He listens to it in the in the like his car when he's driving to like work.
Is this a friend I would know, or is it one of your geology perverts?
It is, yeah. It's it was one. Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah, one of my geology bras. It is Andy. It was Andy who shout out to you, Andy, for listening to the podcast. Secret number 1.5 fan after Ed, I guess. But he said he's a big fan of it. He says he really enjoys it and really enjoys the conversation. So good job and keep it up. So that was what I really enjoyed. Went for a little dog walk. It pissed it with rain. Great.
Oh,
it was really good.
Nice,
so
man.
yeah, it was very nice. Yeah, it was really nice. So there you go. Shout out to Andy. Send an email to the podcast. bestbuttieспod
please
@gmail.com.
Share it with other people as well. God, please.
Yeah. And yeah, so that was what I enjoyed. It was really cool. It's cool.
Yeah. Very nice. Shout out to Andy. Yeah, my pick's also Ryan's parents.
But they're only fans. Yeah.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake.
No, so I think just before we started saying to Rob, I might have mentioned to other people earlier, I ended up basically stumbling in to a free month of Amazon Prime Video. And so I've been perusing their wares while I can recently. And so I started watching and got very into, may not be quite for everyone, but so Critical Role, the voice actory D&D thing, their animated series, The Legend of Vox Machina. Really enjoying it. Very good. Obviously, the people that play in Critical Role are all voice actors, so they're just playing themselves and probably a lot of the background characters. And I've been having a brilliant time. The animation's cool, the story's all good, and it also means that I can sort of start picking up that story without having to sit through about 3 million hours per session of Critical Role. But it's good. I've had a great time with it. I'm just started season 2. I've been enjoying that as well, so would recommend.
Yeah, I think season 2 is better. I watched season 1. I was like, this is fine, but it's not something I'm gonna be rabid over. Like, and maybe that's partly because I did know, like, that was when I was watching Critical Role, was when they were going through that stuff. But it's so much easier than sitting there for 3 hours listening to them voice act, and they're great.
It's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's good.
They're rabid fans, mate. Like, you can't trust it unless the critics is 100%.
Well, the Amazon UK is 4.9 out of 5.
Remember the premise of
IMDb
this is that we're all nice to
8.4
each
out of
other.
10. That's good.
But it is
it's
good.
good.
Like it's a really solid thing. I think it's the best sort of example of what you could want from turning, your D&D game into pieces of media. Like
100%.
I think
Oh, that sounds good.
as much as I'm like, some of the things with Critical Role have done, I don't necessarily agree with, but that's mostly like business decisions and stuff, and they correct those pretty quickly because they're all lovely people.
Yeah,
is the core of it. Like they're all just lovely people, and they're trying their best, and they're not always going to hit because no one does. But yeah, and what they produced is really cool.
Yeah, I'd like to see
I
it
just don't have
at
3
some point.
hours.
It's good. Good. Well,
Is McCree in it? Is that right?
He's
Or his name?
DM,
What's his
so
name?
actually he's in it less than most of the others because
yeah, there's
the
a lot of
voices he
like
does-
little side characters and background shit as opposed
What's his name?
Matt Mercer.
to Matt Mercer.
Matt Mercer. That's the one. Very
But
cool.
yeah, I've been really enjoying it. I've been on quite a D&D hype recently anyway. So that coincided quite nicely. A nice gel.
No, it sounds cool, man.
Yeah, it was good.
I'm desperate to DM again. I do not have the time or the group to do it with at the moment.
Oh, you got the group
DM's
right
so
here,
good.
baby.
Here we are. We'll do another session of Dungeons and Dragons for the Patreon.
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons podcast. We could do that.
Might do that.
Another go in and do a crowded sort of podcast space and move into an even more crowded podcast space. Sounds like a plan. It's the one thing the internet is crying out for is more actual play podcasts.
There's barely any. Yeah.
Go on, Jack.
That's really cool.
Hit us up.
What have I enjoyed? Not doing job applications. Yeah. As I said, I've had a lot of work the past few weeks, but it's tough because I really have just been working. I've played the new Final Fantasy, but even that, like, I'm like,
Oh shit, Jack! You did actually mention on WhatsApp that you wanted to talk about.
yeah.
Final
So I guess
Fantasy.
I'll bring Final Fantasy as a thing I fucking love. I love it. The new one, it's fine.
That's
That's why I'm like, oh,
This
should
one
I
ain't
really...
that peachy.
The problem with the new one, the combat's really fucking good. The issue that I have with combat is it's maybe too easy. Like you don't have to engage with anything to get through the bosses and stuff. The other thing is they've not really committed to making a character action game like a Devil May Cry, and they've not really committed to making a Final Fantasy or a JRPG. They sort of stuck it somewhere in the middle, and it doesn't work. Like it ends up as a Devil May Cry with the pacing of a Final Fantasy game, which is not what you want when you're playing Devil May Cry.
Yeah. Would you say it plays better than 15, though? Because that was more onto an action setting. I didn't really like the combat from 15 all that much.
The
personally.
combat plays better. I don't know if it's paced better. I think 15 might be paced better. Okay. The characters are also, they're just fine. Like, I don't think they're particularly amazing Final Fantasy characters. They're fine. The performances are great, but also it goes on about. I mean, I've played 40 hours or something, and I'm not at the end. And really, for a character action game, you want 10, 20 hours so you can replay it at harder difficulty. Yeah. I don't want to replay this game to get the high scores and to really test myself with the combat because it's just too long. So
all goes back to the same shit. There's too many long games. We just need short games. I want 5 hours.
I love
10
I love a
hours
long
squirrel
JRPG.
rounds.
It's just
Yep,
it doesn't work with what they've done here. And
I don't think
this,
any of us really have time for that anymore. Really? Like, really? Do you really have time
You
to do
make
large
time.
JRPGs these days?
Yeah.
I don't have time, but I still want it because I'm a filthy weeb, Robert.
Yep.
I need it.
Yeah, but Brandon, we can't really take your opinion there because you raw dog a game until it's done. You fly through the storyline. It's like, I didn't do any side content, but this is all right.
the other thing is all of the
As
side
soon
quests,
as I can think of a game that's not true about, I will contest that fact.
Elden Ring, you absolutely caned the shit out
That
of. Mate.
hurt me
You did that
how
in.
fast you got through Elden Ring.
you're not you're not one for just sort of being in an environment. I will say that.
No, well, to be fair, with Elden Ring, look, I put the time in because I also, not to bring back some bad memories for people, but I got COVID for a few days when that came. So I wasn't at work or anything either. So I was like, you know what I'm going to do? Fucking slay demons, baby. And then, like have some cough medicine and feel bad. But That's why I fucking destroyed Elden Ring.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
You did play it.
in terms of 16, I'd say I wouldn't rush to get it and play it. If you're a Final Fantasy fan, if it's there, yeah, have a go. But the other things is like all of the side quests are just Final Fantasy 14 side quests, which, hey, they're Final Fantasy in 14 because it's an MMO. When you're playing a single player game, you sort of expect maybe there to be some writing and story tied into some of the side content that make them a bit more interesting than go here, kill this, come back.
Interesting.
But, and it is the 14 team, so I guess that makes sense. But, like, even the things that you're being sent to kill are not particularly interesting to kill. It's very much Game of Thrones. Like, it is pulling Game of Thrones, which works sometimes and then really doesn't work in other times. They like to say fuck a lot, which is a thing that they haven't often done in localizations.
Big fan.
But simultaneously, they try and evoke like the sexuality of Game of Thrones.
Well,
And it's just the least sexy game.
Final Fantasy's
We'll see
never.
about
I mean, it does have highly sexualized characters, but that's because fucking people are dicks and like to sexualize anything with legs. But it's never been a sexy game, has it? It's always been quite campy, in my opinion. Like
Yeah,
Final Fantasy.
it's trying more for the Game of Thrones style of sexualizing people. Like people are like having sex and things off camera, but at the same time, it's like in the least sort of. It's trying to be sexy in the least sexual way, in a way that's very odd.
It just seems...
And it just doesn't quite hit. It's very much like character models being pushed together by a kid playing with dolls. It's not... It doesn't work.
So what I'm taking from this is that you would be enjoying the new Final Fantasy more if it had the hot coffee mod from San Andreas.
Definitely.
Yes.
No, I would be enjoying it more if it was 10 to 20 hours maximum. There was no real side content. The other issue is when they do writing for the side content, the politics are fucking terrible. The story of this fucking thing is, hey, isn't being a slave to fate the same as being a slave?
That's like every JRPG ever, basically.
When they actively have slaves as part of the story.
Wasn't Tales
there are no
of
people of
Arise
color
like
here
that
as
though,
well.
right?
Maybe, but there are no people of color in the game. Everyone's white, even in the desert areas. That's fucking weird. You go to a desert, everyone's just looks like they come from Birmingham and speaks like it half the time as well.
Well, I mean, Birmingham is a wasteland, so...
We've gone off the topic of peachy. We're all being sad now.
I'm not feeling very peachy right now, Jack.
I think it's fine. It is fine. It is not anywhere near my top Final Fantasies. I'm enjoying the combat, and I wish I could... And there are modes where I can just play the combat, and I would say just do that.
I think you should just play Devil May Cry, man.
Yeah.
Play Devil May Cry.
Honestly, yeah. But going back to Peachy, just Final Fantasy in general is something I love. So
Fabulous.
Hey, Final Fantasy makes me happy.
Good.
Yeah. 16 is... It's not even a bad game. It's just not as good as other Final Fantasies.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I started... I had that stupid idea of playing through them all from, one in order. Even though there's not really much crossover. And those games so fucking... Even the early shit where it's kind of clunky and old and dumb... It's good, cool. Man. There's some good shit. 3 is phenomenal. Final Fantasy's good.
Yeah.
It is good. Yeah, I want to play 16 because it's more my kind of thing.
I think it's too long for you. I think there's too many spaces where you're supposed to care about the story and you just don't. Like it is.
I do like story.
No.
Where has this come from?
No. I'm not saying that as in
story.
you don't like story. I'm saying that as in there are too many bits in this game where it expects you to care and then it doesn't actually give you anything to care about, and then you have to sit through a cutscene for 20 minutes while they talk about something you just don't give a shit about.
It's like empty. It's like completely empty.
Yeah. I've not been very peachy. I'm sorry. Final Fantasy is fantastic. Final Fantasy 16 is not a bad game. It's just not a good Final Fantasy. There are definitely good bits about it. You can pet the dog. That's
the most important. Maybe you should play Devil May Cry 3, but whilst listening to the audiobook of Game of Thrones, and then that's the perfect combination.
The best way to summarise some of my feelings is, do you remember Stormblood and the politics of Stormblood? Like, they're a bit sort of shitty, like, refugees can just work their way out of this. If they just put their nose to the grindstone and did some work, they would be they would be fine. That's all that they need to solve their issues. It's that stretched to 50 hours of a video game with a really fantastic combat system.
Oh, bloody hell.
And it's just, look, I get that Yoshi P has done some great stuff with Final Fantasy XIV. I think maybe they need some different writers on the team.
Shall we crack on, lads? To the
first semi-final.
Yay!
Coming back, look, if I really need to pick something that's not that for being Peachy, then guinea pigs are still great.
Yeah, guinea pigs.
We're back in.
Yeah, I'll clip
Who's
out
edited?
the entire
Yeah,
rant.
cut out.
Yeah, guinea pigs.
Cut out that Final Fantasy right to be like, yeah, guinea pigs are kind of cool.
You could say Witcher. I want to say another one. It's
can't have
Witcher.
two.
Witcher season
You can't have
3
two.
is.
Yeah, no, Witcher's been all right.
Wait, the Witcher TV show?
Yeah,
It's
I don't
good.
think it's been it's good.
Yeah.
I don't think this season's been as good as previous.
I thought
personally.
2 was bad.
like it.
Did you like the second series?
Yeah, I quite like that one. Yeah,
Okay,
that was good.
so
I didn't like the prequel.
No, the prequel was crap, but I thought 2 was as bad as the second series. Like, I think it had that one good first series.
Nah. Henry
This
Cavill's
thing
in it.
isn't peachy. Let's.
Sorry.
Oh, boys.
I've not had anything good happen.
You have.
My choice is Henry Cavill.
okay. Oh, fucking hell, working class
Yes,
elephant.
the first
I'll be doing
semi-final is, as Robert just said, the working class versus the African bull elephant. Debaters, to your podiums. Let us have it. Thank
I mean, after that, just peachy. I feel like Jack needs a win. To be honest with you, Jesus Christ. Nah,
Elephant.
Come on now, it's the working class.
Think how many of the working class an elephant could kill before it was stopped.
Is that?
That's not a good
I'm
thing,
a bit
Jack.
confused here.
Quite frankly, I'm sure plenty of the working class could kill elephants and
If you
others.
put them all in it, if you put them
in
all
a room, see how many
It's
it can
not
take out
a-
before it
it-
goes down.
Yeah, but it will not be able to take out every single member of the working class.
So this is a thought experiment. If you take every member of the working class versus every single African elephant, who's gonna win?
I think we'll win. Numbers game, I think we've got it. It will be horrific.
And we're
It's
not
an
talking
awful-
any weapons
It's-
on either side. Like
It's
all natural, naked baby.
The thing is, I would say that elephants are a member of the working class, and maybe the best sort of representative of the working class and what the working class should be. Because there are often stories of elephants killing their owners who are forcing them to overwork. And look, if the working class did that, we would be in a better society. So the working class need to take a page out of an elephant's book. The elephant should win because it's setting an example for the working class.
yeah.
So you're saying
Where do you fucking come up
you're
with this
saying
stuff,
that
right?
the
Rip
entirety
bosses
of the
in
working
half.
class should be replaced with African bull elephants because that'd be better, and the world would be a better
No,
place.
I'm saying that they should do as an elephant does, and when you're overworked, you get your boss and you tear them in half.
Can we put like
Gorgeous.
some Les Mis tunes, red and black?
Elephant
over the
that
last
ripped
5
owner in
minutes?
half. Elephant that ripped owner in half for overworking him, hailed as working class hero.
Yes.
Well, you know,
Normalise ripping your oppressors in half.
you know who would have done that more likely is the Punisher, but you said that he was a bad person, so you can't make that argument. He'd definitely
No,
kill his
I
boss.
think Frank Castle would have I mean, his history as a soldier. He's a class traitor. Frank Castle is a class traitor. He works to keep the working class down on behalf of the government and big business.
Does he? He
Not
What's
in the
happening?
text, but I could definitely
What's
see him doing
happening
that as a
anymore?
mercenary.
It's come on, it's the fucking working class. Do you know?
It's the elephant.
It's absolutely not. The working class contributes so much to society,
So do elephants.
including elephant conservation. I would add.
I think that's a very middle class job.
Yeah,
Probably is
conservation
middle
is
class, right?
right.
That's
Middle
probably-
class.
No, but they
no,
they'll give to like elephant charities.
No, conservation in.
I will say, I think a lot of British people, and a large number of those are working class, are more likely to give to an animal charity than a charity that helps people.
For sure, I do agree with that.
Is like the money's needed, but it's very strange how people make those decisions.
It's because animals are cute.
I really want the working class to win, just so we can seem like a really leftist podcast. That's exactly what I want.
We are, but I'm saying elephants are working class heroes and should win as true representatives.
It's not
of
a
the working
fact
class.
at all. It's a giant killer animal, Jack. It's
but
not a working
the
class
person
hero.
The problem
deserved
is
it.
Jack's saying all the things, and I'm from my Unga Bunga brain. I'm like, actually, yeah, I can kind of.
No, don't listen to his politics, his witchery.
The person deserved it. They were overworking an elephant. They ripped him apart. And look, we should all do that. We should
The
go
working
to work
class
and we should
have
tear our
probably
bosses in
killed
half.
so many more people than elephants. If you want to go down that road, most of them
French
probably
working
deserved
class.
it.
The French
All
working
of them.
class.
It doesn't matter. It's the working class. The world would be in fucking shambles without the working class. And while it would be a sad place, the world would keep turning without elephants.
I feel like I have to give it to the working class.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid argument. I can't, because the elephant is very iconic, but like, what do they? You said they're obviously good for
it's
biodiversity and blah blah blah.
Which is really important.
Ecosystems.
Yeah, they are
But, like-
integral to their ecosystems. Like they preserve
But
entire types of biome and habitat.
If you took the elephant away from the world, would my bathroom still get tiled?
No.
You don't live in the
Yes, it
same
would.
ecosystem as an elephant.
Listen, I fucking hate that argument. It kind of physically hurts me because, like, we live in this fucking consumer capitalist bullshit society, and now you're saying you're not equating the natural world to our world. It's bullshit because working class and elephants both are on the bottom rung of like ecosystem services. Fucking
Yeah, you're basically saying that because destruction of habitats doesn't affect your day-to-day life,
and
it doesn't matter.
This is
No. That's not the argument I'm making, by the way.
That's the argument that Robert is making.
It's the one that Rob's made, and I'm
Brandon,
interested.
Brandon, you're absolved. You've nothing to do with this. You've only done good this episode, but this is the closest I've ever been to being legitimately angry on this podcast.
Really? I feel like I get there most episodes.
Yeah, you do, but it's kind of a wind up with you, so I know where you're getting at. But this boy, that's horseshit. You're feeding into a dangerous narrative about fucking consumerism. I don't like it.
Right, but the fact still remains, right?
Your
Because
bathroom
the
would
answer
get
is
tiled, to
still
be fair.
my bathroom would get tiled. So although it's not the best, obviously I understand that's like just affects me. And I how many elephants have I seen in my life? Actually, let me think. How many African bull elephants? None. I don't think I've seen any African
that's a
bull
point.
elephants. I've just seen.
You have specified African
Okay.
bull elephant, so there will be other elephants to pick up the slack if you get rid of those. Whereas there
Can't just
aren't
translate an
other-
elephant,
it's not.
like a forest elephant, to the savannah. That's not going to work.
It's yeah, but
An
still,
elephant is not
you're
an
getting
elephant.
rid of one type of elephant as opposed to trying to
Can't
get
just
rid of the
replace them with
entirety
another
of the.
elephant.
It's like
No,
There's
but
elephants about.
if those elephants weren't,
If those
If they
elephants
didn't have this
disappear,
elephant-
then we see huge degradation of savanna and grassland habitats.
yeah.
Specifically African elephants.
Surely,
and if we see all of the working class people disappear, how does that affect?
I'm going to
We're
choose the
fucked.
working class because I'm angry about
You're a
this
cunt,
whole
Rob.
fucking shitty
No.
argument.
Why? Why can't we have the conversation?
it's fine
Why
having
not?
the conversation.
If you're saying if all the elephants
You're a cunt 'cause
disappear,
you're right.
it's going to have a big effect on.
it's not all elephants. It's the African bull elephant, and while that would be a huge loss, right? Two things. One, surely, just in general, as the world and science and what have you, we should band together and we can find a way to fix the problems that causes. Whereas if the working class is gone, elephants
we can't
aren't
fix
gonna
the problems
fix
that
the
we're
problems.
faced with now.
Surely,
Well,
now, I'm not saying working class people are the problem in humans, but humans are the problem, right?
Humans are a problem.
If humans disappear,
Wow. Working
class are
then
definitely
surely
not the
it'll be
problem.
Like, no, it's generally humans, but they're a part of obviously the human race, aren't they? So if you were to, completely make
You're really not
Thanos
helping
snap
Tory Rob.
Why?
Like
all of the. No, I'm just trying to.
the working class are humans, right?
I'm trying to balance the argument here a
but
little
also-
bit in terms.
you're saying about you can't just introduce a different type of elephant. Why not?
Well, it's like so if you've got two species of fish, right? And you said, "Oh, this one species of fish is died. Let's replace it with another." But you've got a big divide within freshwater and saltwater fish. If those two
they live in
cross-
completely different environments.
Surely, over time, if you do it properly,
They wouldn't
isn't that...
survive long enough to
Yeah.
reproduce.
No, I think
They
that's
would
what
have new
evolution's all
predators.
about.
And yes, but that happens gradually.
Evolution doesn't
and so
work on
yeah, but
such fast
but the
timescales.
African bull elephant came about because a different type of elephant moved to Africa and bulled, right? And then slowly over time, we have the African bull elephant we have now, right?
Can you tell who like the the uneducated part of the podcast?
What was wrong about that fact?
No, you're right. You're constraining the timescales.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't happen
We got
over
time.
a lifetime. You would have to have these new elephants live and survive for multiple generations within that environment, and they would not survive to reproduce in that new environment because they don't know what to do there. They aren't adapted to live there.
That's why the working
And
class
we
fly
can't
over and help them out.
Eat trees, drink water, and walk a lot. Now, that doesn't sound too hard to me. And if you were to give the elephants just some little goggles because of the sand, if they're not used to that, and then...
Stop.
Yeah.
We're probably going to have to get that put on a fucking t-shirt or some bullshit.
Yeah, maybe if elephants were better, they could adapt. How about that?
I'm done. It's the working class. I hate this. I quit the podcast. I'm off. See you later.
Yeah, I will actually, jokes aside, the working class are, well, they're crucial
So
for society. I'm
the
going for
first
working class.
finalist seems to be the working class.
Hey, I loved
Christ.
that because the absolute nonsense arguments everyone made to try and get their choice through was a thing of beauty. So thank you, boys. That's my peachy. It was fucking just listening to that.
Can't wait for the finals to be working class versus guts. Let's go.
That might be an issue.
I will just say, related to what we were going on about, elephants and working class. There is something that people can read that's actually quite fun, or even watch. I think there's been a film adaptation. The George Orwell short story of Shooting an Elephant is like an essay. I think it is. It's a great look at imperialism and things within the context of elephants existing alongside the working class and people.
Sounds fun.
Shooting an elephant.
Yeah. It's only an essay as well, so it's not too much of a read. But I think there is a movie for people like Robert.
You underestimate my attention span, mate.
It's a short film. Don't worry.
That's all right then.
There's a 10-minute YouTube video of.
He's not watching it for 10 minutes. Come on. But yeah, no, okay.
Well,
I'll concede the elephant for the working class. I can't complain too much about that.
The elephant got you far. It took you some distance, dude. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
pretty much
should we not look at where the rankings are of people based on where they've fallen in these? Like, who's got the most through? How are we assigning points here?
we had working class, Ramadan. So working class was you, Brandon. Ramadan was Ryan. Cup noodle was me, and elephant was you, Jack. Oh, we all had one. That's rather nice.
That worked out quite well.
That did work out quite well. So, but it's Brandon. It's Brandon, Jack, and then tied between me and Ryan.
Fabulous.
Almost a complete. Not quite.
Yeah,
like,
it's close.
Very
Though.
like Ryan
Almost
goes from top to
swap.
bottom.
It's quality over quantity. And you know what else is not quality over quantity? The amount of social media we've got. That's right. At Best Butties Pod. That's on Instagram, Twitter. I think that might be at Best Butties on YouTube. Is that correct?
And TikTok as well, I think.
Probably.
And TikTok as well.
I just let the bot deal with
hit us up on
YouTube
there.
now.
If it works, that's fine. It's okay until it sort of comes sentient a bit more and it starts.
Oh, it doesn't do the tags or
stuff.
anything properly, but I've given up correcting
fine
them. So.
So we've got that, and also you can email us. Maybe you have some opinions about what we've put through for the final bracket or first part of the final bracket. Email us. bestbuttiespod@gmail.com, and we'd be welcome.
Is
We'd welcome
there
your
an
email.
argument that gets the elephant out on top? I want to know what people are gonna. Because really, ecosystem engineer is the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
But
email in.
that might be because I've been involved in writing grants on similar.
Yeah,
things.
or maybe you just kind of like the new Final Fantasy. Let us know.
It's not a bad game. It's just not a good Final Fantasy, or not one of the best Final Fantasies. It's not in the top 10.
Don't rate our podcast mid. Get on the fucking Apple Podcast. Get on the Spotify podcast and rate us at least a 4, ideally a 5 out of 5 stars. Let's go. Put it on there. Tell your friends about this. The people I've spoken to about this podcast, where you tell them what the premise is, always gets a conversation started about what they think is the best cup, for example. They're all wrong because
we're objectively right. That's why we're the ones doing it.
Exactly, we are the best butties, but you can be honorary best butties. That's
say
all
you're
good,
going on a first date, you got all the ammunition, you got all the categories to help you out with interesting date questions.
You're the Frank Castle of dating.
Each episode is an incredible icebreaker for a fucking Tinder swipe. Let's be honest. You fire across a best Dan, you're in, and you're welcome.
You are.
Especially
you ask someone to choose between Ramadan and the working class. You're in.
Yeah, maybe not ask that on a first date. Yeah, that might go badly for you. But
it's a bold opener.
But if you do, let us know how much suck you got from from that result.
Good.
Send it in. Anyway, should we finish this bloody podcast because we thought it was going to be a short one?
We got through a lot though. We got through. We'll cut that bad boy down.
No, we won't. All right, then. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you so much.
Catch you. Part 2.
Tatty bye. 3 kisses, maybe 4.
Ooh, simmer down.
Bye.
Goodbye.